It's time for your Saluki radio preview as the Southern Illinois Salukis go on the road to Dana J. Dykow Stadium to take on the number 3 team in the country, the South Dakota State Jackrabbits, alongside Coach Poor, Mike Trude. I am Luke Martin. You look at this series, Coach Poor, especially in recent memory, the last time the Dogs went to Brookings, they won it in overtime. Got a stop on a 2-point conversion in that first overtime to win it 42-41. These two teams have had some really competitive games, even going back to the spring in that playoff game.
Some great football games and very competitive football games. And we've always went into this game with good plans and feeling like, with all their accolades, championships, and, where they've gotten to program-wise, it was always a game we went into thinking we could win. And those two games up there were dandies, man. I mean, back and forth and offensively and defensively and obviously much the same this year. If you kind of look at comparative scores and, all of that, it's a game that Salukis can go up there and win.
9 Lettermen were lost on this offense last year, Mike Trude. Multiple of them are in the NFL, yet this offense is still continuing to roll, and a big reason why is their quarterback, Mark Gronowski, and that offensive line that's only given up 4 sacks this year.
Yeah, and the offensive line has had a rough go of it this year, injury-wise. They had everybody to start the year. Then a couple guys went down a couple games in. They had to pull in some, replug some guys in. They did. Then now they're back getting healthy again just in time for the playoffs, conveniently. But it all starts with Gronowski. He's just been phenomenal, and he makes them go.
Isaiah Davis no longer there. He was one of those draft picks that went to the New York Jets, but yet you got Amar and Angel Johnson in the backfield. They can be utilized not just in terms of running the football, Coach Poor, but they can be dynamic in the pass game as well.
They're both guys who the skill set, they plug and play right into that system. And they're definitely guys that you hope to contain because they're going to make some plays. They're that good. And obviously they try and establish the run with both those guys. But like you said it, they are dangerous in terms of being able to move them around within the offense, play them in the slot, get them out of the backfield, that type of thing.
Griffin Wilde at wide receiver, he had a heck of a day against North Dakota. 3 scores, over 100-plus yards, nearly 150 receiving, Mike, in that game. He's a huge target for him, and with the Yankee twins being now gone, he's gotten a big piece of that pie.
Well, to say he's the favorite receiver is crazy because he has over twice as many catches as anybody else on that team. He had a big touchdown against the Salukis a year ago here in the game in Carbondale, and he's just the go-to guy and runs great routes, and Gronowski puts it where it needs to be put. But Goring's not bad on the other side as well from the wide receiver spot, so he's got people to choose from.
You look at their defense, which is only giving up 13 points per game. The last team to score in the 20s was Incarnate Word. If Adam Bach has been healthy in his career, he's had some years that have been filled with injuries, he'd be the all-time leading tackler in program history. And now that he's healthy, he's a huge part of this defense this year.
He is always around the football, really intelligent player, doesn't make mistakes, understands what they want to do defensively, and they will bend. They just don't break. Obviously, they're giving up 13 points a ball game, which is just crazy in this era of college football. So you can get some yards on these guys. They'll give you yards inside the 20s, inside the 30s, but when you get down into that red zone area where the field shrinks, their defense gets bigger when the field shrinks, and it's really, really difficult to score, and Bach's the head of that snake.
4 games this year, Coach Poor. They have not allowed an offensive touchdown. In their last 32 quarters, only 6 touchdowns they've allowed. How do you try to move the football against a defense that has just been so stout?
Well, we've always had good plans, and they are so fundamentally sound that you have to pick your spots. Their safeties are really involved in the run game. They play that kind of a 4-1 look that makes you think you should run the ball all day, but their linebackers are so good. Their DNs have always been key in terms of playing from those wide alignments and squeezing everything between the tackles. But we've made hay attacking the safeties, seam routes and scissor releases and getting a guy up the hash. is where we've had some hay, and they do. They give. Mike said it. They're kind of bend don't break. There's some freebies out there that in the past we've been able to capitalize on and move the ball, taking layups.
Mike, there's no question the feeling within the football team is widely different than it was a week ago, especially coming off a huge rally and knocking off Youngstown State, trailing by 28 to come back and win that game. Now they can go to Brookings. Don't want to say that the pressure is off or any of that. I don't think that's the right way to phrase it. But this is Southern Illinois football team that is sky high off of the big win. How can they ride the momentum from the comeback of Youngstown State and give themselves a chance to potentially pull off what would be a huge upset?
Yeah, well, as you guys have both stated, the games with South Dakota State have been phenomenal football games, regardless of either team's record going into it. And Southern's coming off a pretty big high. You come back from a 28-point deficit in a game where you were buried almost by halftime, and all of a sudden you've got a bigger pep in your step. And practice this week has been a lot of fun to watch. The guys are flying around again. The pregame warm-ups have been crazy, just stretching exercises. Yesterday they were singing like crazy during practice. This is a team that has a newfound vigor, you can say, and they have nothing to lose Saturday. They have everything to gain, and I think that they will go in there, as they always have, with a good plan and just try to execute and come away with an upset. It'll be an upset.
We will finally have the whole crew back together on Saturday in Brookings, South Dakota. Kickoff is at 2 o'clock from Dana J. Dykehouse Stadium. Our pregame coverage on the Saluki Radio Network will begin at 1 o'clock. For my partners, the Coach Pat Poor, Mike Trude, I am Luke Martin. We will talk to you tomorrow. Saluki Nation, go Dogs.